Hello everyone, Rob Guest from football.london here, and welcome to the latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham, sponsored by NordVPN. Joining me today, it's Alasdair Gold. You well?
Yeah, I'm good. I hope you are too. You had a little break. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, went to Munich to watch Bayern. They did lose, but it was a good game, and then hit by some airstrikes on Monday coming back, but I managed to get back from Salzburg in Austria instead. So yeah, not too bad. Not a bad weekend, but obviously not the best of one for Spurs.
Better than the other recent one, or better than a few days earlier, just about. See, even when you go away on a holiday, you get a bonus little extra holiday, in a way, going to Austria.
Yeah, for a few hours, I suppose you could count it as an extra one. But yeah, well, let's get on to talk about Tottenham anyway, because it's a big week for Spurs, and Ange Postecoglou lost 1-0 against AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands last Thursday. Real drab performance from Spurs, just failed to lay a glove on their opponents, and AZ have the advantage going into the crucial second leg at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow evening. They're in the driving seat to go through. Spurs have to beat AZ, or else that's pretty much the season done and dusted, really.
Oh, it really is. It really is. I should also apologise quickly for the lack of podcast in between. We've had a bit of a kind of a logistical nightmare in terms of Lee Flaky Wilmot letting us both down when we were trying to do other podcasts in the intervening time. But we're here now. It's going to be a little short one, and we'll do another one after this huge game that does define the season, really, because it's quite simple. Lose and it's season over, isn't it? I mean, it would take a lot for Spurs to probably go down at this point, which is ridiculous that we're even talking about that. But it's not out of this world. It could still happen. But ultimately, the season will probably just peter out to nothing. And yeah, we need to. I mean, when's the quarterfinals? That's April, isn't it? Mid-April. So at least you could extend your season by a bit then, and hopefully a little bit more. But it's going to be a tough game. We've seen that now across 2 games against RZ. Yeah, they need to pull something special out of the bag, because they haven't for a long time, Spurs, unfortunately.
No, this is the game where they need a big performance to get through, because like I said, if not, season's over. It was always going to be a tough game in the Netherlands last week. They've been excellent at home. In Europe this season, I don't think enough has been made about that. I don't think they've
beaten every team. They've beaten every single team they faced, including Galatasaray, who they drew the first time, but then beat them at home the second time.
Beat Roma as well, who are a decent team. So there's certainly no mugs. And what's going to help AZ is they've had a full week to prepare for tomorrow's game, because in the Eredivisie, if you're involved in Europe, you can put in a request to postpone your game at the weekend. I think they were down to play on Sunday, but that game is now taking place at the beginning of April. And we just don't get that in the Premier League, because there's no room in the calendar for these rescheduled games. And let's be honest, we've probably seen it before, where a team would play on a Monday for broadcast purposes and then playing on Thursday in Europe, which is ridiculous.
What I would say for RZ, the first leg, they'd had a little run like Spurs, where they'd been playing Thursday, Sunday kind of thing, and they still beat them. So it doesn't actually probably make too much difference. Spurs had 8 days off, haven't they?
That's what I was just going to say. Spurs had all that time and then delivered a performance like that.
So poor.
It was AZ really going to be a tough nut to crack, because they played well at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in October. They've got the advantage. They're going to be doing everything they can to hold on to that, and looks like the winner will be playing Eintracht Frankfurt in the quarters. They beat Ajax 2-1 last week. They've got home advantage going into it, but for Spurs, it's Ange Postecoglou's selection is going to be really interesting. I mean, you can look at pretty much all the positions, the main positions: centre back, centre midfield, the attacking trio as well. We'll start at centre back. Something you reported last night: Kevin Danzo's picked up a muscle injury. in last Sunday's 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. We'll get full confirmation from Ange Postecoglou when he speaks to the media later this afternoon when he previews the Europa League clash against AZ at Hotspur Way. Dan's obviously played well since he's come to the club, but now Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven are back, so maybe it's not an absence that will have been, felt so much if it happened three or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? He has played, barring, I think he came off 12 minutes towards the end of the first game he played. He's played every single minute since. And yeah, actually, I think it was first Premier League game actually came off 12 minutes toward the end. He's been pretty impressive on the whole. I'd say the last couple of performances looked slightly more shaky, but that just could be just having to play it all the time and I guess changing centre-back partners as well during that time towards the end with Romero coming in, who gave, unfortunately, nobody any real confidence at the weekend. Yeah, it's on paper, our favourite expression. And if you're going to lose a centre-back at a time, now is maybe the time with Romero van der Ven back. Ben Davies seems to be back in training now as well. And, of course, you've got Mr. Fix-It, Mr. Versatile Archie Gray as well that you can use. But I still think he's a loss because he is a strong character already in the team, and he's a guy that's kind of got a lot of quality as well. We do wait to see exactly what it is, but certainly towards the end of the game, I could see him struggling. He wasn't moving very freely, and then right at the final whistle, as soon as it went, he went straight down the tunnel with two medical staff, one either side. He had his right short leg pulled right up, and it was holding the back. It looked like the hamstring area. I don't know if you're allowed to mention that word around Tottenham Hotspur anymore, so it'll probably be called a calf muscle injury or something, or just a muscle injury. But yeah, it is a loss, and we've got open training first, actually, before the press conferences, so we'll straight away know whether he's training or not. And then press conferences, we've got not only Ange, but Guillermo Vicario is going to speak as well, which will be an interesting one because he's had some recent kind of things that have happened with the crowd, especially after that game in the Netherlands. So, yeah, we'll find out just how serious it is. I guess the other side to it is you've got these two games and then you've got 2 weekends without a fixture. That's hopefully going to take a chunk out of any recovery time if it is a slightly longer one. But, yeah, we'll wait to see. Who knows? It could come running out at training and make it all look stupid. It might have just been a couple of days thing, but we'll find out today.
Yep, all will become clear. I think he'll go with Romero and Van der Ven at the back. I certainly wouldn't rule him out putting Archie Gray at centre back.
No, I wouldn't either. No.
He's played so well there, but going on what Ange said in his post-match press conference on Sunday, that it was important to give players like, I think, Romero, Van der Ven and Solanke minutes ahead of Thursday. That, to me, hints at they're starting or they're going to have key roles in that game, and both available now. I know Romero was certainly rusty, but grew into the game as it went on. But it's one of these where players have come back from a long-term injury. They're not going to be at the sharpest straight away. It is going to take them a bit of time. But no, I think they'll both be in the starting 11.
Yeah, I was just thinking, he certainly wasn't sharp. He really wasn't. Had a nightmare. About 17 seconds in, I think he passed it straight to Evan Nilsson. Yeah, I mean, he was meant to play 45 minutes. At half time, he said to Ange, like, I want to play a bit more. I'm fine. I want to keep going. So they gave him an hour. Then Van der Ven came on for him. I think with added time, he got about 35, 36 minutes. So they're probably, with another 4 or 5 days worth of training, should be in a position to both start. And I think that's a lift to Spurs as well, unless he decides, to go for Archie Gray in there. Yeah, there's loads of kind of potential selection kind of things in that defence. Like, what do you do? I think Destiny Udogie comes in. I would be surprised if he doesn't. But then who plays right back?
I went with Porro. I mean, you can make a case for taking Porro out of the team. But I think because AZ are going to be staying behind the ball, you're going to need Porro and his delivery to put in some good crosses across the 90 minutes and potentially beyond, because it could go to extra time. and penalties. So I would keep Porro in, and in my team I kept Spence in, but I can see a doggy coming into the team. But yeah, I think when you're probably lacking a bit of creativity going forward with no Decky, Maddison doesn't always take on that mantle and be the creative force. I think you're going to need Porro's quality from out wide just to whip in the balls. And you've got someone like Dom Solanke in the box now. He's back to fitness, who can get on the end of them and hopefully get the goals that Tottenham need.
I'm really torn on it because Spence is one of the form players right now.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like madness to take him out of that. And also he can dribble through situations, which is kind of his superpower. With Porro's is the delivery and the cross and everything. But I also have this little thing, I think I said this before, I don't think he operates quite as well on the right as he does on the left. And that's my one thing is, yes, defensively, hopefully he'd be absolutely fine. Although actually at the weekend, not saying he was completely responsible, but for both goals, there were little moments that he was involved. The first one, not tracking the player. I know Spurs were thrown into a complete mess because of what Porro did. And then the second one, he played everyone onside in that. Played Evan Nilsson onside. So yeah, defensively, I think he's still working the kinks out of his game after so long of not playing. But yeah, I'm really torn. I think he'll go with a doggy because of the balance and the left footer down that side, and maybe Van der Ven as well. I think they'll link up quite well together. But then, yeah, you've got Porro and Spence, two very, very different right backs. One in form, one out of form, one with the quality to put in crosses, like you say, for Solanke, and one who's got the ability to kind of take players on and break the lines, which could be important as well against a team that's going to be compact. So, yeah, I think that's a huge one, really. I think he'll get lots of criticism if he doesn't play Spence, but I can also see why that might be an option. Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Has Spence ever played with Van der Ven? I don't think he has, off the top of my head.
Ooh, I mean, other than the weekend when he came on, that I think he played.
Other than that, yeah.
I don't think he started a game with him. I don't think so. Chelsea, don't think he would have, would he? That game where they both went off. So yeah, no, maybe not. So is that a new partnership? Is that a bit iffy as well if you're playing him on the left?
Maybe, but there's two quality players in there. I think they'll strike up a relationship straight away.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, that. But there's all across the pitch. It's like midfield. Would you go with your midfield? It's like, I mean, can I just say Lucas Bergvall straight away? You just write him on a team sheet right now. He doesn't come out of that team.
It's Bergvall and Maddison plus another, and I wouldn't start Yves Bissouma, even though you need a number 6. I just don't think his form's been good enough, taking off at half-time.
Yeah.
Against Bournemouth, Pat Matasar's probably the one leading the race. A decent showing against Bournemouth. Got a goal. I think you're going to need his energy in the middle of the park. But if you want a number 6, it's Archie Gray, man. I know he's not really played there for Spurs, but you're going to have to play him there at some point. And this number 6 position is such an issue for Spurs that it needs solving. And you just unleash him there and go Gray, Bergvall, Maddison.
I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. I just don't know if he will. I just got this feeling that he might go for Bissouma. And I know he was dreadful in that first half. He was so poor. I've just got this funny feeling just for the experience and the fact that RZ, yes, will probably be sitting back mostly. I think he'll try and have him having this mopping up role. Sarr played okay. People really kind of doing down his performance, but I think you also have to take into account that it's Ramadan as well. So he observes that that means no food or drink in the daylight hours. So a match like that, at, 2:00 kickoff, he hasn't eaten or drunk anything since about 5:30 in the morning. And I think that really needs to be taken into account then kind of how good his performance was with that in mind. The amount of times, even just during games, we see players take drinks and I think you're allowed to gargle liquid, but not swallow it or something. I'm just going to ask you, do you think he meant the goal or not?
I think he meant it.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of people have said that since. I didn't think he did, but the more I've watched it, I think he does look at the keeper's positioning, and there is nobody to cross to. So maybe, but he just celebrates as if it was a cross.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he just like looks up, and to be honest, if that's a cross to someone in the box, it's a terrible cross because
Well,
he's
that's what I thought it was.
nowhere near anyone.
Yeah.
I think he meant it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrific goal. I don't know if we'll ever kind of find out, really. I don't, because he doesn't really do interviews, does he? He's not kind of at that stage yet. So, yeah, so midfield, I think probably is going to be Bergvall, Basuma, and Maddison, but I would love to see Archie Gray there. I just don't know. It just hasn't happened yet, has it? Maybe I've just given up hope of ever seeing it. I'll talk about it later, but I did speak to Aaron Lennon in the week. Obviously, the Leeds to Spurs connection, they both kind of came at the same time, 18 years old Spurs. And he was saying he was working with Leeds under 18s last season towards the end, Aaron Lennon, for the last 3-4 months of the season. And that, I know Archie Gray was playing for the first team at that point, but he gave him the chance to see a lot of Archie Gray in kind of training and also in the first team matches. And he said, anyone just needs to watch the Chelsea game in the Cup. I know we've banged on about it before, but you just have to watch how he played against Chelsea to see how fantastic. And that was at 17, I think he was at that age, at that point. You know, that's how good he's going to be in the midfield. And it is very frustrating. And now I've asked Andrew about it, and he's been like, you know, I know everyone is desperate to see him there, all this sort of stuff. It's like, well, play him there. Use him. He's got such quality. And I mean, you know, Basuma, you just can't trust him right now. He just doesn't give you that air of kind of responsibility that he's meant to. You know, we had the whole going to a skiing resort thing, which although Ange played down, and obviously we don't know whether he skied or not, even though he took photos of himself in all the gear, the snowboarding stuff. Just the reason I'm saying that is contractually you're not allowed to ski or do any extreme sports and things like that. But yeah, I did notice in his reply, although he was playing down the subject and kind of mocking it slightly, he was talking about players being sensible and wise in what they chose to do and their kind of time off. And it's not a huge thing because nothing happened, but it could have been. And it just unfortunately feels like a bit of the Basuma way, isn't it? It just makes these decisions. You just think, I know it's not a massive thing, but did you have to do it? Or did you have to publicize that you were doing it and all this sort of stuff? And it kind of all comes into this mindset, doesn't it? This senior responsibility figure mindset he just unfortunately doesn't seem to have. So if he does play, it's going to have to be a huge performance. But I agree with you. I'd much prefer to see Archie Gray there.
Yeah, should have no issues playing Archie in midfield because look how well he's coped at centre-back. Yeah. And this number 6 problem is such an issue for Spurs that the answer might already be at the club. You just need to give him a go. As you're saying, look how well he played against Chelsea in the Cup. It's Thursday's do or die. Basically, season's over if they lose. So why not go for it?
Will he see it as experimenting with something they haven't used yet in a big game?
Yes, I think so.
And is that to do?
But yeah, I agree. It's one of these, if he plays and Archie's a huge success there, then they'll get loads of praise. But if Archie plays and they go out, then yeah, he's just got to come in for so much criticism. What we'll do now, Ali is going to talk to us about the benefits of using NordVPN, our sponsor.
Yes, and I did use NordVPN in the Netherlands. They were the one thing that was reliable out there in Alkmaar because, as occasionally happens in European stadiums, that there was no video replay screens. So we're kind of in a bit of a quandary, a few of us. So what I did was got my phone out, and obviously you can't watch streaming things that you watch back home when you're abroad, or certainly most of them, or get the same content you would if you can. So what I did was I switched my phone to thinking it was back in the UK using NordVPN. It thought it was in London. That meant that I could stick on TNT Sports and get the game sat on my phone, so I was able to see all the replays and everything. And it was hugely appreciated. And yes, I know it's become a little thing about our podcast, the whole NordVPN thing, because when I was at the airport coming back, someone shouted at me, NordVPN, as I was walking towards the plane, which was weird, but funny all in one go. And yes, it is good that it's something that we promote because it's something that we use. And as I've always said before, NordVPN is the fastest VPN in the world. It means there's no buffering, no lagging, and you can stream your favorite shows from anywhere in the world without your bandwidth throttling. It is something that I've just said there you can use to watch stuff from abroad. When you're abroad from home, or at home you can watch stuff from abroad because you can make your phone or device or anything think it's in a completely different country. You could use that to book tickets via for a hotel, for flights, for concerts, whatever you want to do. It's got so many ways of helping you. And from a security aspect, with iffy Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi, whenever I'm abroad as well, I always like to kind of do that as well because it helps lock out various things. And on top of all of that, to get your best discount off the NordVPN plan, we've got an exclusive offer. If you go to nordvpn.com/gold guest, our link will give you 4 extra months on your 2-year plan. And there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link, in case you just missed it there, is in the podcast episode description box.
Just going back to Andrew's team selection then, the front three, I think we're in agreement. It's Son, Solanke, and then I went with Matisse Tell.
Yeah,
did you
did
as
I
well?
did as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certainly choice there. Wilson Odebear, Brennan Johnson. You could probably make a case for all of them, but what Andrew was saying on Friday when he was previewing the Bournemouth game, that he's not had the opportunities really to play Tell in the position they want to because of the lack of options through the middle. But now Solanke's back, you can give Tell that chance, probably from the right with Son on the left. Tell didn't play against Bournemouth, so he's going to be fresh. And I think I did a piece last week. I know it didn't work out for him in the Netherlands against AZ, but I think whilst he's trying to adapt to, the pace and intensity of the Premier League, coming up against these foreign opposition might suit him better just because it's similar to, the style of football he was playing out in Germany. And yeah, fingers crossed that's the case because he needs a big performance, I think.
He does. I felt kind of sorry for him away in Alkmaar. He started off and he was battling away and he actually won a couple of duels. He was holding the ball up well, did a couple of little runs where he flicked the ball over someone's head and ran around the other side and got it. And they were thinking, okay, cool, he's getting the confidence going. But then as it went on, just back to the goal, just was getting battered by the centre-backs over and over again. And I mean, Ange said himself that he thinks he really is going to probably be a winger, certainly in the short term anyway. Even though he can play as a 9. And I think playing kind of off of Solanke would be really helpful for him because Solanke is going to win the ball and play it into your path. And when you've got someone like Tell that can run on, he can put it into his path, and you could see Tell getting a goal or two within a system like that. And obviously, Sonny with his, he's got his goal at the weekend, and he was quite bright, Sonny, after being really, really poor in Alkmaar. Did you see that? And I wonder whether it's true or not. Did you see Gary Lineker talking about his penalty?
No, what did he say?
So he did his podcast with Michael Richards and Alan Shearer, and he was talking about the fact that it's essentially the same as his penalty that got saved, the one that everyone ridiculed. But he said it just happened that the goalkeeper moved. But what he also said is he thinks it was meant to be a proper Panenka penalty, and he fluffed it. He actually miskicked it. I don't know about that. I think he just went up and thought, I'm just going to kind of stroke this quite delicately and it's going to be fine. But it's one of those that could have gone horribly wrong. It was quite a brave penalty in a moment like that.
I think given the result, Spurs had been 2-0 down late in the game to get a point, just put your foot through it.
Yeah.
But he's gone in, so he can't really complain, to be honest.
No, and he missed his last one, didn't he? Last one was
he did.
safe, wasn't it? So, yeah, I think Tell would be a telling decision, if you pardon the expression. I think Odebear, he's still doing the thing that he did when he first came, which is a really raw attacker in that he's got loads of wonderful qualities, beats a man, but there's still nothing on the end of it yet. That's got to be coached into him, really. He's still very young. He's only 20 years old. Johnson, he looked... It's just still that confidence seems to not be there at the moment. There's one moment where he kind of headed the ball on Sunday and ran past his man and then almost let the player catch up with him. He never really looked like he believed he was going to get away from him. And again, as I said in the past, I don't know whether that's a mistrust of his own hamstrings, whether he's going to pull something or not. I don't know. but yeah, he should be absolutely skinning his man every time with the pace and acceleration he's got. But I wonder if Tell gets the nod for this big game, and just having Solanke back's great. I mean, he got barely any service, but he got 96 minutes in his legs. He looked shattered. There was a ball that Maddison played over the top late in the game. He was just like, yeah, I'm not getting that. It was like he was in quicksand. But it'll all have helped a player whose game relies on that running. They just need to kind of come out the traps flying, don't they? They need to, if they could get an early goal, I think suddenly the game's theirs. But if it becomes nervy and that crowd get frustrated, it could end up going only one way.
Yeah, I worry for them if they concede first, because we've seen that a number of times during Ange Postecoglou's reign, but they have come back to win games quite a few times, most notably last season, but they just can't afford to go a goal down. Need a quick start, get that early goal, and hopefully just kick on from there. Before we move on to your Aaron Lennon interview that you did on Monday, are Spurs going through? What's your prediction?
It's probably going to come back to haunt me, but I am weirdly have this slither of hope. That's a sliver of hope, not a slither. It's not hope that's like slithering towards it. A sliver of hope that I just think there may be one more European adventure to come from this season. I really hope so, because the alternative is pretty dire. I think they might just sneak through on the night, but it's going to take a collective effort from the team and the crowd, and that's another kind of topic of discussion as well.
Yeah, I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it late on though. I think 2-0. We'll go for a Lucas Bergvall winner. He's a big player for Spurs at the moment. He'll chip in with a big moment. Let's go for that. Right then, your Aaron Lennon interview, who was previewing the upcoming Legends game between Spurs and AC Milan at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next Sunday. What did Azza have to say then?
He was great fun. I was a little bit fanboy on this interview. I'm not normally. I'm very kind of professional. Well, allegedly, but in this one, I just said to him pretty much straight off the top, he used to be one of my favourite players. Him and Bale, either flank, was just like, I don't think I've ever seen a better wing combo at Spurs. They're just incredible. And I was talking to him about this, and he kind of said the beauty of it was the season before Gareth Bale kind of came in, he was getting double marked quite a lot. A lot of they would, because they knew his pace, they would bring 2 or 3 players over to stop him, and that would stifle Spurs. But when they had Bale and Lennon on either side, they just didn't know what to do, because if you blocked one off, the other one suddenly had loads of space to destroy you with their pace on the other side. And he loved that time as well. And it was just, and I think by kind of telling him he was one of my favourite players, I think that opened up the interview quite nicely. And yeah, we spoke for a good half hour, 35 minutes about various stuff. They're all on the. There's 2 articles on the football.london website. First one is like a nostalgia piece, which is great. If you love Martin Jol, you're going to love him a little bit more after reading that. Talking about how homesick he was, Lennon, and how Martin used to just kind of put an arm around him and the various things he would do to help him. Spoke about Juan de Ramos and the thing that he immediately went in the canteen and chucked in the bin, and it was not ketchup, but he said he was incredibly strict, and it just riled so many senior players about their food kind of habits they had. Then he spoke about the Redknapp eras, the Villas-Boas eras, and what they were both like. Very different managers, but actually shared certain traits as well. What it was like winning a trophy for Spurs, because that is a rare thing. And, it was the last trophy as well, that Carabao Cup win. Well, technically, it wasn't Carabao back then, was it? Was it Worthington? I'm trying to remember now.
Carling. There's been so many different ones. Carling Cup, I think.
Yeah, we've just plugged about 3 different products there, haven't we? All in one go.
Coca-Cola Cup, Worthington Cup, Milk Cup.
Yep. So he was really good on all of that. He was good about just himself as well. He set up this, or helped set up this mental health platform now, where he talks to former players and just anyone that needs help. I Matter, it's called, and it's brilliant what he's doing, because we know he went through some struggles. It was actually during his Everton time, wasn't it? And
it was,
and he kind of has come out the other side of that, and he's just trying to help others, and he wants to go back into coaching. He did that bit of coaching with Leeds Academy, and he's got these two little kids. One of them, I think it's his daughter, isn't at nursery yet, and he felt like he was missing a lot of their lives by doing it. So I think he's spending a little bit of time with the kids, and then he's going to get back into coaching. And the other article was about Archie Gray, some of the stuff I spoke about there. He spoke about Ben Davies, because Ben Davies was there, during his time. He's still at the club 10 years on. Lennon did 10 years at Spurs, and so has Ben Davies. And he said about Sonny had just come in as he was leaving. Oh, that was the other thing that was quite interesting. He spoke about Poch, and his experience of Poch is quite a different one, because he said as soon as Poch came in, he could tell he didn't want him. And he just could feel that he wasn't wanted at the club anymore. And there was that little time, wasn't there? Was Adebayor, Kabul, and him was like linked with his little clique, and maybe Poch wanted to get the senior players out. And he was really open and honest about that, and how actually, while he understood, well, he didn't understand the decision, but he was gutted to leave Spurs, but he could see what Poch was trying to do. But he also said there's stuff from Poch that he took on in his career, little things like in pre-season training that he now or always did. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting interview. Nothing to do with me, just purely the fact that everything he said was really, really interesting. So yeah, there's 2 pieces on football.london. Go and have a read, and I promise you'll probably come out of it with a little bit more kind of appreciation for Aaron Lennon if you didn't already have it.
Did you ask him about those Everton pictures after he'd signed? When he was posing, looks absolutely gutted to have joined.
I almost did, and I just thought, oh, do you know what? He's already said he was absolutely gutted to leave Spurs. He was really devastated to leave Spurs. And I just thought it might be rubbing it in. I didn't want to upset the Toffees crowd because he might have said something that kind of caught him out, said, oh, Everton, yeah, they're rubbish, especially Guesty.
Right, on that note, we'll leave that for today's latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham. We'll be back on Friday to talk about the AZ game, and then look ahead to Sunday's trip to Craven Cottage to take on Fulham. Hopefully a bit different to 12 months ago when they lost 3-0 in West London. I think that was just before an international break as well. I think pretty much same weekend. So
yeah, I am worried about that game, probably even more so than the RZ game. Yeah. But this is the biggie. The RZ one's the key.
It is big game. So as I was saying, just keep with us, football.london, for all your latest Tottenham news. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/gold guest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.